Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Royalty Cut here, and in today's video I'll be taking you through the process of how to cut and sew these beautiful pajamas that you see over here that you can use for your Christmas photo shoot. If this video is a video you're interested in, please keep on watching to the end, and don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and also turn on your notification bell to be notified whenever we post a new video. So basically for this tutorial, this is the material that I'm going to be working with. So I have this material that you see over here that has a Christmas theme on it. And I don't know the name of the fabric, but I'll try to describe it so that you know what you're looking for in the market. So it's a little bit stretchy, but not that stretchy. And I think it has the texture of a pajamas, you know, the way your normal cotton pajamas is. That's the texture that I have here. And for the yards, I have about 4 yards here in total for this men fabric that we're making use of. Then another material you'll be needing is your hoodie band. So this hoodie band here, I have 1 yard of it, although it's going to be more than enough because it stretches a lot. So I might not end up using all of it, but I have 1 yard here in case of. So that's the material that I'll be making use of. So let's start with the drafting. So for the drafting of this, I'm going to go ahead and fold my material here into two because we'll be cutting our trouser part of it first. So for the folding of this material, you go ahead and get your round tie measurement. So for me, I'm working with a round tie of 28 inches. So you're going to go ahead and divide 28 inches into two for you to get your material to fold with. So 28 inches divided by 2 is 14 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and fold my material into two by 14 inches. And I'll also go ahead and cut the length of the trouser that I'm making use of. So basically at this point, I'm done cutting out the fabric and this is what I have here. So my material right now is on fold and I have about 14 inches here as you can see. So for the length of this pants, before cutting it, I subtracted 2 inches away from our full length of the trouser because 2 inch will be used for our elastic band. So go ahead and place your tape rule above your starting line. So I have 2 inch here. So for the full length, I'm working with the full length of 45 inches, but I have 41 inches here. Reasons being that we are going to be attaching our hoodie band at the end of our pants. So we wouldn't want this men fabric to have the full length. So since I'm working with 45 inches and I have 41 inches here, the length of the hoodie that we are going to be cutting will be about 4 inches for you to make up the full length of this pants. So let's start with imputing our body measurements. So remember that we subtracted 2 inches. So any vertical measurement that we are going to be taking will be from these 2 inches that you see over here. So I'm going to go ahead and mark my hip length. I'm working with the hip length of 10 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark 10 inches at this point. So after that, you want to get your crotch length. So for your crotch length, you can go ahead and sit down and measure from your waist to the point that you have your chair on. So after measuring mine, I had about 13 inches. So I would mark 13 inches here. So when I measured mine was 12 inches, but I went ahead to add extra 1 inch to it for ease. Now, you wouldn't want your pajamas to be tight on you. So you can either go down by 1 inch or even 1.5 inches, depending on how free you want it to be. So I added 1 inches to my making it 13 inches. So the next thing we are going to go ahead and mark right now is our tie length. So for your tie length, it's usually 2 inches after your crotch depth. So since my crotch depth is 13 inches, my tie length is going to be 15 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and extend it. So basically after the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is to divide my round hip measurement into 4. I'm working with a round hip of 42 inches. 42 inches divided by 4 is 10.5. So at this point that I marked my hip length, I'm going to go ahead and mark 10.5 on our hip length, mark 10.5 on our waist length, and I'm going to go ahead and connect it just like you see me do over here. So after marking it on the waist length, which is here, I'm also going to go ahead and mark it on our crotch depth. Now I'm marking 10.5. So basically after this, the next thing we are going to go ahead and do at this point is to connect this line that you see over here down to the crotch depth line over here. So basically after that, this is what we have. Now the next thing we are going to go ahead and work on right now is our curvy area for our crotch depth. Now remember that our tie measurement is 28 and I went ahead to divide 28 into 2, making it 14 inches. So for the extension, I'm going to go ahead and impute 14 inches, which is exactly what I have at the end of this tip. So I'm going to go ahead at this point that I have here, this center point at our crotch depth, I'm going to be coming up by 1.25. So I'm going to go ahead and mark this. Now this will be serving as a guide for us to get a perfect curve for our crotch line. So after marking up here by 1.25, I'm going to go ahead and connect in a curvy way this point that I marked here into this line, then in a curvy way from this point into the end of this crotch depth line that you see over here. As you can see, we've gotten our curvy part at this end. Now let's go over to our tie length. Now what I'm going to go ahead and do at our tie length is to measure what I have here, which is 14 inches. I'm going to go ahead and divide it into two. 14 inches divided by 2 is 7 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and mark 7 inches at this point, just as you can see. So basically, after marking the 7 inches at this point, the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is to come over to this part that you see over here. I'm going to be going in by 1 inch, just as you see me do over here. So I went in at this point by 1 inch. Now I'm going to go ahead and blend this 1 inch into this line that we have here. Like, I'm going to go ahead and blend it outward this way for you to enter back into that line. Now be careful while doing this, because you wouldn't want to create any hip curve at the end of the day. So I went ahead to blend it in just like you see over here, down to our hip length line. Now after then, the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is to come over to the full length here. I don't know if you can see. Now from this part of it, not from the side of our crotch area, I'm going to be going in by 8 inches. Now this 8 inches is constant for everyone. When it comes to an adult, now it can fit for any kind of adult. So after that, I went ahead to mark 8 inches. Now the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is to connect from this crotch depth that you see over here down to this 8 inches line that you see over here. Basically, after connecting this is what we have here. I don't know if it is visible enough. Now the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do at this point is, remember we marked 1 inch at this our tie length. So I'm going to go over to the full length too and mark the 1 inch that we marked earlier. So I went ahead to mark the 1 inch. Now I'm going to go ahead and connect this 1 inch we marked at our full length here back into this 1 inch that we marked at our tie line. At this point, after connecting the lines, this is what I have. Now I'm trying to blend this in, but my material is making it so rough for me. But I will definitely blend it in very well when I'm cutting it out. So just make sure that this line connects outward into this hip length that you have here. So after that, this is what I have. Now the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do right now is to cut this out. Cutting this out, this is what we have for our front piece. Now I'm going to go ahead and place this aside for us to cut a piece that we'll be making use of for our back piece. So for the back piece, remember that I folded with 14 inches. So for the back piece, you would want to fold with more inches, because we're going to be adding extra allowances to the sides and the upper. So for the length, also add 2 inches to the length of your back piece. At this point, after folding my fabric into two for the back piece, this is what we have. So I'm just trying to arrange this for us to have a smooth edge at the end of the day. So basically, this is what we have here. Now, the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is to bring the front piece that we cut out earlier to place it directly on this folded back piece that we have over here. So this is the front piece that we had earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and place this directly on this piece this way. So before placing it, I'm going to be marking 2 inches from this starting line. I'm going to be marking 2 inches downwards. So this is 2 inches line. Now this is where the waist of our front piece will be starting from. I don't know if you can see. So the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do right now is, at this part that we have our crotch depth line at the front piece, I'm going to go ahead and extend it this way, just like you see me do over here. So for the crotch depth, I'm going to be extending it by 2.5 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and mark it here, which is exactly what I have at this point, 2.5 inches. So remember, I came down here by 2 inches from the waist of our back piece. I don't know if it is visible enough. Now the next thing I'm going to go ahead and point is to come at our hip length here, this line that we have here. I'm going to be coming out by 2 inches, just like you see me do over here. So from these 2 inches I marked, I'm going to be connecting it in a curvy way down to this extended crotch depth line that we have for our back piece, just like you see me do over here. So from that point, I'm going to be connecting this 2 inch into this line that we have at our front piece here. So just watch closely what I'm doing. Now you wouldn't want to give space at the end, because we are not attaching any zipper to the back of this. That's the reason we are trying to close up the excess. So this is what I have. I have to blend it back into this line. So after that, the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is to come over to this crotch depth line. From this point that you see over here, I'm going to be imputing 2 inches from the tie length all the way down to the full length of these pants that we are making. After marking the lines, I also went ahead to connect it. Now when you get to this point, you wouldn't want to connect it straight. Just give it a little bit curve at the end of the day, just like you see me do over here. Now after marking the 2 inch from this point all the way down to the full length, the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is to come over to this point that I have at our waist length. Remember that I have 2 inches above the front piece of this pant. Now from that 2 inch line, I'm going to go ahead and slant it. Now make sure you extend this line upwards this way. So from this 2 inch line, I'm going to go ahead and slant into this front piece that you see over here, just like you see me do over here. So I slanted from that 2 inch at this point all the way back into this waist area that we have for the front piece. Then for the sides of this pant, I'm going to be adding 1 inch seam allowance to the side of this pants that we are making for stitching it down. So from the waist area, I'm going to be adding 1 inch, following the shape of the sides all the way down to the full length of this pants. This point, I was done imputing the 1 inch, just as you can see. So I'm going to extend this waistline all the way down to this 1 inch that we have over here. I don't know if you can see. So the next thing I'm just going to go ahead and do is to cut out this back piece, starting from these new lines that we've made for the back piece. After cutting out both the front piece and the back piece, this is what we have here. So this is the front piece that we have. It is 2. Now the back piece is also 2. Now I'm going to go ahead and use a pin to hold down the crotch area together. After holding down the crotch area of this pants, this is what we have. So I'm going to go ahead and place these 2 pieces of our pants, both the front piece and the back, separate for us to cut our upper body. So basically for the upper part of this pajamas that we are making, I went ahead to fold this fabric and it is into 4. I folded it into 4 because we are going to be cutting our front piece and our back piece together. This is not going to be having a zipper. So I have 4 pieces folded here and our measurement will be starting from this folded edge that we have at this point. So the first thing we are going to go ahead and do is to get our shoulder to shoulder measurement. So for me, I'm working with the shoulder to shoulder measurement of 16 inches. Go ahead and divide 16 inches into 2 and that will be 8 inches. But since this is a free pajamas, we wouldn't want it to be a body hook. I'm going to be adding extra 1 inches to our shoulder to shoulder measurement divided by 2, making it 9 inches in total. So from this folded edge that I have here, I'm going to go ahead and impute 9 inches. After marking the 9 inches, the first thing I'm going to go ahead and do is to determine the neck width and depth that we are going to work with. Since I'm cutting the front piece and the back piece together and this is a round neck, I would want to make it in a situation where it can be able to pass through our head. So for the neck width, I'm going to be working with 3.5 inches. Then for the depth, I'm going to be working with 3 inches for both the front piece and the back piece. So after that, I'm going to go ahead and connect it just like you see me do over here. But if you want yours to be wider, just go ahead and make it more wider to your desired shape. So after that, the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is to come over to this point that I marked my shoulder to shoulder measurement. I'm going to be coming down for our shoulder slope by 1.5 inches. Now, the reason being we want our shoulder to be more slopey, but if you want yours to be the regular shoulder kind, just go ahead and come down by 1 inches. But I think 1.5 inch is a very good inches to come down for your shoulder slope for your pajamas. So after connecting the shoulder slope all the way down to the neck width, just like you see over here, next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is to measure my round armhole measurement. So for me, my round armhole is 16 inches. I'm going to go ahead and divide 16 inches into 2 again, and that basically is 8 inches. So from this point that we have our shoulder measurement, I'm going to be coming down by the 8 inches. But since this is a free top that we are making, I'm going to be adding extra 1 inch, making it 9 inch for ease. So I'm going to be marking 9 inch instead of 8 inches. So whatever thing you get for yours, just go ahead and add extra 1 inch to it. So after that, I went ahead to connect it, just as you can see here. Now, the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is to get our armhole curve. So from that point, I'm going to divide 9 inches into 2. 9 inches divided by 2 is 4.5. So I'm going to go ahead and mark 4.5 at the center. At this point that I marked 4.5, I'm going to be coming in by half of an inch. Now, after that, I'm going to go ahead and connect this half of an inch into this line that we have at our shoulder slope, just like you see me do over here. So this is what I have. Now I'll come over to this point that we marked at our bust line. I'm going to go ahead and divide my round bust measurement into 4. I'm working with the round bust of 36 inches. 36 inches divided by 4 is 9 inches. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and impute 9 inches and I'll be adding extra 4 inch for ease. Now this 4 inch is optional. You can choose to do more or less depending on how free you want your upper body to be. So for me, I think 4 inch is going to be okay. So I'm going to go ahead and mark 4 inches starting from that point that I marked my round bust measurement. So I have 4 inches at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and connect from this half of an inch that I came in at this point. I'm going to be connecting it to this 4 inch that you see over here in a curvy way for our armhole curve. We've gotten our armhole curve, as you can see. So I'm going to go ahead and measure what I have from this folded edge to that point that I added 4 inches, and I have about 13 inches point 5. So I'm going to go ahead and mark 13 inches point 5 all the way down to the full length of this folded piece. So after marking it down, this is what we have. Now there is no cost for adding your waist length or your hip length because this is going to be a free top that we are making. So for the length of this top that I'm making, the full length I'm working with is 28 inches because it's for a tall person. So just go ahead and measure yours and get your desired length. So I have 29 inches here because I'm going to be using about 1 inch to fold the full length. So this is the length of the top we are working with. So after that, I'm just going to go ahead and cut these pieces that we have here. After cutting it out, this is what we have, and opening it up, we have both our front piece and our back piece together. So I'm going to go ahead and place this right side facing each other this way. So for the stitching of this, I'm going to be joining the shoulders with 1/2 inch, and I'm going to be joining the sides with 1 inch for this upper body. I had to fold my fabric into 4 for us to be able to cut the sleeve, and this fabric is into 4. Now our measurements will be starting from this two folded edge that you see over here to avoid it not slitting into 2. So the next thing we are going to go ahead and do is to get our armhole measurement. Remember, we worked with the armhole of 16 inches in our upper body, so we are going to be working with the same 16 inches. I'll go ahead and divide 16 inches into 2, making it 8 inches. And remember, we also added 1 into it, making it 9 inches. So from this folded edge, I'm going to go ahead and mark that same 9 inches we marked for it, just like you see me do over here. So after marking 9 inches, I'm going to go ahead and divide this 9 inches into 2. So 9 inches into 2 is 4.5. I'm going to go ahead and mark 4.5 too at this point. So vertically, I'm going to go ahead and input my nipple to nipple measurement. I'm working with the nipple to nipple measurement of 8 inches. So 8 inches divided by 2 is 4 inches. So vertically, I'm going to go ahead and mark 4 inches at this point, and I'm going to extend it all the way down to this 9 inches that we marked earlier, just like you see me do over here. So basically after that, the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do too is to extend the center line all the way down to it. So after that, I'm going to go ahead and divide these 4 inches that we marked vertically into 2. So dividing it into 2 is 2 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and extend that 2 inches all the way to the end of this folded piece. So after that, we are done with the measurement input. So I'm going to go ahead and connect it for us to get our sleeve cap. So from this center point, I'm going to be connecting in a curvy way into this part that you see over here. Now just watch closely what I am doing at this point. Now you would want it to go out a little bit in a curvy way this way. I don't know if you can see. So in a curvy way upward, I'm going to be connecting from this center part. So basically at this point, I didn't know that my camera was not recording. So I just connected from that center point all the way down to this block that we have here in a curvy way, just like you see here. Then after that, I went ahead to get my elbow length. I'm working with an elbow length of 12 inches. So from this point, I measured 12 inches at this point. I also went ahead to divide my round elbow measurement, and I'm working with the round elbow of 12 inches. 12 divided by 2 is 6 inches. So I went ahead to add 6 inches at this point and added extra 1.5 inch for ease and sewing allowance. So from that point, I connected it all to this point that I marked this curve. And the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is to input my round waist measurement at the full length of this sleeve that we are making. Now this sleeve, the sleeve length that I'm working with is 25 inches, but I have 20 inches, 21 inches here, sorry, not 20 inches. I have 21 inches here because the hoodie band will be making up for the 25 inches. So I'll be cutting the hoodie band for the length of 4 inches to complete our sleeve length. So after that, I'm going to go ahead and divide my round waist measurement, and I'm working with a round waist of 9 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and divide 9 inches into 2, making it 4.5 inches. So from that folded edge, I'm just going to go ahead and mark 4.5 inches at this point, just like you see me do here. Now, after marking it down, I'm going to be connecting from that 4.5 inches all the way down to these elbow measurements that we have here. So basically at this point, you would notice that this line is not aligning. So I'm going to go ahead and use my curve ruler to blend it a little bit for it to align, just like you see me do over here. Now, after that, I'm just going to go ahead and cut this out. After cutting this out, this is what I have. So I'm just going to go ahead and notch the center part and place this aside because our sleeve is going to be ready. Now at this point, I want to go ahead and work on these pieces that we have cut out, both the upper body and the trouser. So for the trouser, I'm going to go ahead and join from the waist area down to the crotch for both the front piece and the back piece. So I'm going to join the front to the front. You're joining front and front, then back and back. So this is a two front piece. I'll be joining from the waist all the way down to the crotch area with about 1/2 inch. I'll also go ahead and do the same thing for our back trouser from the waist to the crotch area. Then we'll place this aside. For our upper body, we are going to go ahead and join, just like I said earlier, you join the shoulder to shoulder with half of an inch, and then join the sides of this our upper body with 1 inch. So basically at this point, I was done attaching the pieces of our materials together, and this is the front piece. I joined it front to front, shoulder to crotch, and also the back piece. So for the upper body, I went ahead at the same time to attach our sleeve to it. So after joining your shoulders and your side, just go ahead and attach your sleeve and use the half inch that we added to stitch it down. So basically this is our up, and it is almost ready. Now the next thing we are going to be working for on this up is the neck area and the sleeve area. So we are going to go ahead and place this aside. So basically for this pants that we are making, we all know that a pajamas hardly have a side pocket. But if you want yours to have a side pocket, it's also up to you. You can also go ahead and add a side pocket to yours. But for me, I don't want a side pocket. So after joining the two fronts together and the two back together, I'm going to go ahead and place it right side facing each other this way, making sure that the crotch area is facing each other, making sure too that this point that I joined is facing each other. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch with half of an inch from this center crotch area all the way down to the sides and the full length, then from this center area all the way down to the full length. So after stitching the crotch area down, I'm going to go ahead and stitch the sides with 1 inch. Now we know that the back piece is wider than the front piece, so no matter how wide it is, just drag your back piece in and make sure that it aligns with your front piece before you shaping. So I'm going to be shaping both sides with 1 inch. So basically at this point, I was not stitching the crotch area down. As you can see, I also went ahead to join the sides, and this is what we have. So this is what we are left with. Now let's go ahead and work on the waist area. So for the waist area band, we are going to be getting our round waist circumference of the fabric that we have here. Now remember that we imputed our hip measurement on our waist. So we are going to go ahead and measure it starting from one shaped side or one joint side all the way around to the back, then to that same spot joint side. Just take your measurement round. Basically, after measuring mine, I have 42 inches here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut a band of 43 inches instead. Whatever thing you get from your round circumference, just go ahead and add extra 1 inch to it. So for me, I'm going to be cutting the band of 43 inches. Then for the width, I'm going to be cutting with the width of 2.5 inches on fold. So at this point, I was not cutting out the band, and the length of this band, just like I told you, is 43 inches, and it is 2.5 inches on fold. I don't know if you can see. So when we open it up, it's going to be about 5 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up this way. Make sure that the right side is facing right side, just like you see me do over here. Fold it into two equal parts. Now I'm going to go over to the sewing machine to use half of an inch to join these two open edge together. So after joining it at this point, as you can see the thread that I use, I'm going to go ahead and open it up. Now, while opening it up, go ahead and fold it into two again, just like we have our band earlier. Just fold it into two, making sure that the open edges are meeting each other this way. I don't know if you can see. So after that, I'm going to go ahead and bring the main piece, which is our trouser, for us to attach this band to it. So for the trouser, this is how we are going to be attaching it. We are going to start at the back of it. Now, for me, I like using the center part that I joined on the back to attach to the back side. So let's go ahead and attach it, although you can attach it any way you feel like. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up this way. Place it on your table. Now I'm going to go ahead and use this my main piece that I have here to wear inside this band. It's just like putting the two bands inside the mouth of this, although you can do it any way which is okay for you. So I'm going to go ahead and use this part that I used to join these two bands, face it right side of our back piece, that center part that I joined from the waist to the crotch of the back piece. I'm going to place it this way. Now make sure that these two open edge are facing towards outward your waist area of your pants. So I'm going to go ahead and use half of an inch to stitch from that point together with the band and the pants all the way around the band that we have here. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch it this way, stitch it all the way down. So basically at this point, I was done attaching the waistband to our pants, and this is what it is looking like. I don't know if you can see the joining part. So I also went ahead to leave about 1 inch while sewing down the band directly on the pant for where our elastic band for the waist will be passing through. So if you notice at this point that I have this line, I did not sew at this point. So this point is kind of open. I don't know if you can see, it's open. It's about 1 inch. You can even choose to leave half of an inch depending how your safety pin is going to pass through. So the next thing we are going to go ahead and do is to get our safety pin and also get a 2-inch band. Now this 2-inch band is going to be serving for the waist area part of it, and my round waist measurement is 32. So for the band cutout, I went ahead to subtract 4 inches from 32, which should be around 28 or 29 if I'm not mistaken. So let me measure it to be sure. So I subtracted 4 inches away from my normal round hip circumference. So I have 29 here. So the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is to use my safety pin to insert at the tip of this elastic band that we have here. So from that passage that I left that opening, I'm going to go ahead and insert this band through it. So I'm trying to find the opening part of it. Okay, here it is. So I'm going to go ahead and insert this band. And while inserting it, I'm going to be holding on to the end of it so that it does not slip into it. So let's go ahead and do it. So basically at this point, I was done inserting it as you can see. So I'm going to go ahead and place these two bands this way, and I'm going to be using about half of an inch to stitch it down. So after sewing it with half of an inch, I'll go ahead and arrange this band for it to sit properly inside this band that we're making. And I'm going to go ahead and close up that part that we followed to pass through the band. So after attaching the elastic band to it, this is what it is looking like, as you can see. So this is the waist area. Now the next thing we are going to go ahead and work on right now is the full length of this pant. Remember, it's going to be having a hoodie band at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and take one leg of this our pant and measure it all the way around to get the circumference that we need for the hoodie pant. So after measuring mine, I have 16 inches here. And remember that the remaining length of our pants is 4 inch, but I'll be cutting 5 inch for the length. Now I have 16 inches for the circumference. I'm going to go ahead and subtract away 3 inches away from it to cut our band. Now the reason being that this hoodie elastic that we are working with is very stretchy. Now it depends on how stretchy that yours is. Mine is very, very stretchy. So you can choose to subtract 3 inch or even 5 inch depending on how stretchy yours is. So since I have 16 inches for the round circumference, let me go ahead and subtract 4 inches instead. So if I subtract 4 inch, I'll be left with 12 inches. So the length of the elastic that I'm going to be cutting will be 12 inches, and the length of it will be around 5 inches. So basically at this point, I'm done cutting out the hoodie band. So I have two pieces here because we have two pieces of our pants. So this is it. I have the length of 12 inches here, and I have the width of 5 inches on fold. It should be on fold. So I folded it and it's up to 5 inches. Now the next thing we are going to go ahead and do is to open this band up this way. We are going to open it up. Now I'm going to go back to the sewing machine. I'm going to be using about quarter of an inch or even half of an inch to join these two open edges together. I'm also going to go ahead and do the same thing for this side. Join these two edges together. After joining the sides together, we are going to repeat the process we did for our band. So I'm going to go ahead and flip it over to the right side this way, and I'm going to go ahead and fold it into two again, just as you can see. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for this. Flip it over to the right side, fold it into two, and there we have it. So we are going to go ahead and attach this right now to our pants. So I'm going to go ahead and bring our pants this way. So this is what we have. Now I'm going to go ahead and place the hoodie inwards just like we place our pants, making sure that these two open edge is facing the two open edge. So this is it. Now the next thing we are going to go ahead and do is to attach this. So while sewing this, we are going to be dragging our band to be able to fit through this leg that we have here. I don't know if you understand. While sewing it, just drag your elastic so that it can size the mouth of it. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for the other side of our leg. So basically at this point, I was done attaching the band to the full length of our pants, and this is what it is looking like. I don't know if you can see how neat and pretty it is sitting. So basically this is ready, our pants is ready, and your pajamas is ready. You can just go ahead and weave the inside. So let's go ahead and work on our upper body. So for our upper body, remember we've already joined the shoulders and the sides and also attached our sleeve. Now we are going to be attaching the same band we attached at the tip of our pants to the sleeve of our up. So it's basically the same process. All you just have to do is take your round measurement, the measurement that you have here, and you just have to subtract about 2 to 3 inches from it. And basically we are going to be attaching it the same way we attached the upper piece. So at this point, I was done attaching the sleeve band to it. So this is what I have at the sleeve. Now my band was not enough, so I'm just trying to economize it. Although if you have much band, more than the 1 yard, it should be perfect for it. So after the sleeve, this is what I have. I don't know if it is visible enough. So this is what I have. Now let's go over and work on the neck area. So for the neck area, you're going to be measuring your neck circumference from the front to the back. So let's go ahead and measure mine. Now be careful while doing this because we wouldn't want any excess to come out from the band. So for the front, I have 6 inches. Then for the back too, since the front neckline and the back neckline is the same thing, I have 9 inches. Sorry, not 6 inches. So 9 inches times 2 is 18 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract. I'll be subtracting 4 inches away from my neckband, and I'll be left with 15 inches. So let's go ahead and cut it out. I've already done that. So I have this band here, and it's 15 inches already by length because I subtracted 4 inch for my neck round circumference. So the width of this band not unfold is 2 inches. So I don't want my band to be that wide, but if you want yours, you can choose to go ahead and do either 3 to 4 inches. So when I place it on fold, it's going to be about 1 inch in total. I don't know if you understand. So let's go ahead and attach this. So before we attach it, we are going to go ahead to and close up this open edge, just like we did for the handband and the pants band. So we are going to close up this and then fold it into two for us to attach it. So basically at this point, I was done closing it up. So this is what I have. Now I'm going to go ahead and fold it into two, just like I showed you earlier. So folding it into two, this is what we have. I don't know if you can see. So let's go ahead and get over to our neck. So for the neck area, we are going to be attaching this open edge you see here at the rough part, just like the normal way we do attach our band. So for this part that we joined it, to make sure that it is at either of the shoulder line, any side of the shoulder, just make sure that it is sitting down there. So I'm going to first of all place that joint part at the shoulder. So after that, I'm now going to go ahead and use about quarter of an inch. I'm not going to be using much inches to sew the neck area. So I'm going to use about quarter of an inch to sew from this neck. And as I'm sewing, I'm going to be dragging my band to for it to get all the way down to the round neck of this top that we are making. So basically, after attaching the band to the neckline, this is what we have. I don't know if it is visible enough. So our neckband is ready. Now for the finishing, you can just choose to open this up. This excess that you have here, you can just go ahead and top stitch on it directly on the fabric this way for you to have a more lapping effect at the neck area. So you can just go ahead and top stitch at that excess all the way down. But make sure you're making use of a matching thread because it's going to be showing at the neck area. But if you choose to leave it that way too, it's going to be perfect. So the last thing we are going to be doing for this pajamas is to fold the full length of this up that we made with about 1 inch, and basically that will be the end of this tutorial. Please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and also turn on your notification bell to be notified whenever we post a new video. See you in our next video. Bye.